Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always ready.
All right, good. Um, Today we're diving into, well, a single source, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a music video transcript.
Interesting. Music video transcript.
Yeah, so we're gonna see, what we can pull out of this. And it is for One King, the song by Saint Mesus. So we're going to be looking at the lyrics and, kind of trying to pull out what his message is. How does he kind of weave in his faith with some of the social issues that he talks about?
Sounds fascinating. I'm ready to dive in.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Well, one thing that really stuck out to me right away was this really impassioned plea to Christians about voting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like it's not even just, hey, you should vote or, think about it. It's pretty strong. He says, and this is a direct quote, if you call yourself a Christian and you're not a Christian at all, you're a coward, and all cowards will have their part in the lake of fire, Revelations 2:18.
Wow. That's pretty strong language.
Mm.
Definitely a powerful statement.
Yeah, and the thing that really struck me about it was just that, I mean, it seems like he's really saying that your faith should directly impact your actions in the political sphere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a very direct connection. He's saying that, faith isn't just a personal thing. It has these social and political implications.
Yeah, and I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you think about this? I mean, is this the kind of language, is this the kind of approach that you think motivates people, or does it potentially push people away?
Well, it's a good question. And I think, it could go either way. I mean, for some people, that kind of strong, almost like, fire and brimstone language might be exactly what resonates with them.
Right.
It kind of stirs that deep sense of conviction. But I could also see how for others, especially those who maybe aren't already deeply entrenched in that kind of religious framework, it could be off-putting, It could feel judgmental or even kind of a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it makes me think about how artists who tackle social issues kind of grapple with that, right? Like
Yeah.
how do you convey a strong message without, alienating people or turning them off?
Right. It's a delicate balance. It's that whole idea of you want to be compelling and, get your point across, but you also don't want to come across as preachy or as if you're talking down to people.
Right, right. And he definitely doesn't shy away from controversy in this song.
No, not at all.
I mean, he brings up abortion as well,
Oh, wow.
which is obviously a very, very, hot button topic. And there's a line where he says, people cheering for abortion, name of Jesus Christ being mocked.
Wow. So he's using very vivid imagery there, isn't he?
Yeah, and it seems like he's using it very intentionally to make this point about Christians getting involved politically, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a key issue that he feels very strongly about, and that he thinks should drive Christians to be more active in shaping policies and the political landscape.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty common tactic, right? To kind of take a very charged issue and use that as a rallying point.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, what do you think about that tactic? Do you think it's effective? I mean, obviously it can be very polarizing as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's always the risk you run, right? When you kind of align yourself with a very specific stance on a very divisive issue, you're gonna energize your base, so to speak. You're gonna get the people who already agree with you really fired up. But you also run the risk of alienating people who don't share that view. And that's something that we see in politics all the time, right? Where issues become so polarizing that it's very difficult to have any kind of meaningful dialogue or compromise.
Yeah, it's like it shuts down the conversation before it even starts sometimes.
Right. And it creates these really kind of entrenched positions where it becomes more about winning than it does about actually finding solutions or common ground.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he ties all of this back to this idea of one king.
Oh, right.
So he says, we don't have kings that rule over us. We have presidents that serve under us. We only have one king, and his name is Jesus.
That's interesting. So he's kind of making that distinction between earthly authority and a kind of divine authority.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really emphasizing that ultimately, earthly power is temporary, right? But there's this higher authority that we answer to. And so all of our actions, including, our political actions, should be informed by that.
So he's not saying that voting or engaging in politics is unimportant. He's placing it within this larger framework of faith and a kind of a divine order.
Yeah, he's saying it's not just about electing a leader, it's about serving a higher purpose. right? And our civic duty, our vote, is part of that service.
Yeah. It makes you think about, what is the motivation behind our political engagement? Is it just about, our own self-interest, or is it about something bigger, something more transcendent?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think it really kind of challenges us to think about how we view our role in the political system, right? Like if we believe in a higher power, does that change how we participate? Does it change how we view our responsibility as citizens?
Right. And I think for some people, absolutely, it would change their whole perspective on voting, on, political activism, on all of these things, because it becomes not just about, earthly concerns, but about aligning yourself with that ultimate authority. And I mean, that can be a very powerful motivator.
Yeah. Do you think this song, this idea can actually motivate people to act on their beliefs, or is it just, something that kind of sparks debate and conversation,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a bit of both, right? I mean, I think, music has this incredible power to move people, to make them think and to inspire action. And, I think Saint Mesus is definitely putting forth a challenge in this song, right? He's saying, this is how you should be living your faith. This is how you should be engaging in the world. And, I think whether or not people agree with him, I think it definitely makes them think about these issues in a deeper way.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it definitely leaves us with a lot to think about. I mean, even beyond the specifics of, his message about voting or abortion, it really raises this broader question of, how do our beliefs, whether religious or not, shape the way we engage in the political process? And what responsibility do we have to use our voices and our actions to make a difference, to shape the world around us? And that's a question that we all have to grapple with. It's not just about voting every 4 years. It's about how we live our lives, how we interact with our communities, how we make our voices heard.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing process, right, of figuring out how to live our values and how to translate those values into action. And, music like this can be a really powerful catalyst for that kind of reflection and hopefully for action as well.
Yeah. So thank you for diving into this with me. I think it was a really interesting conversation and definitely something that I hope our listeners will think about and maybe even have some conversations of their own about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a conversation worth having.
Yeah. So until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
And keep listening.
And keep listening, absolutely.